Apparently 2.7 billion people in the world play games. I used to play Atari when I was a kid. My mom got me an Apple II Plus and I used to play games there. But as I've gotten older, I play less games. And I think a lot of people don't understand gaming or esports. And at the same point, a lot of people are also playing games. Now we see this concept of the metaverse bumping into things like NFTs and now DeFi, which is something we've gone pretty heavy in. And I think you've got a great way of kind of tying it all in together. So I'd love to jump in and do that. Everyone is telling me 2022 is the year of gaming. First of all, do you agree with that? And kind of what does that mean, especially based on kind of a blockchain gaming perspective? How would you answer that to people?
So maybe if you go a little back in terms of history, I would say one of the things about gaming is it would seem that almost every year is a year of gaming. And I think when you just take a look at where gaming was, say, 30 years ago and where it is today, it's one of the few industries that continues to grow year after year after year. And today, without blockchain and without sort of, DeFi or anything like this, as an industry, it is over $160 billion, which is larger than the movie and the music industry combined, right? And it still boasts double-digit growth year on year, despite the fact that it is apparently a mature business, right? So basically, gaming continues to grow. And I think one of the reasons why that continues to grow has to do with the fact that young people are playing games. And just like yourself, you used to play Atari, and maybe you don't play games as much, but there was a leftover of those people who are your generation who still play games, right? And what's interesting is when you think about different kinds of media, they tend to have a stop, right? Where people, for instance, maybe they stop watching, children's shows, or maybe they stop playing certain kind of card games or whatever because they seem to grow out of it. But with gaming, that growing out hasn't really happened. And so as a result, the population continues to grow and the adoption continues to increase over time, over the many decades, such that gaming will continue to grow regardless of the fact that as an industry, it might appear mature because young people who play games will play games as they grow older as well. And so what that also means is that now gaming is no longer just this momentary form of entertainment. It is actually one of the sort of greatest I would say, disseminators of culture today. We used to obtain our culture by watching TV shows, maybe even older generations, it was radio. And today that's all video games. And that's basically, because we identify with that culture, more elements of that gaming culture continues to survive and actually flourish as time goes on. When you think about things like retro gaming and all that kind of stuff, that's all coming back. Like for instance, things like, if you talk about NFTs, like CryptoPunks. I mean, CryptoPunks is 8-bit art. What is 8-bit art? 8-bit art is gaming art, right? It's gaming culture, really. That is basically sort of entered the space into the general zeitgeist, not just actually, in a very particular niche audience. And so we completely look at 8-bit art, for instance, as totally acceptable and actually a form of culture. So gaming is really sort of, I would say, has always been sort of growing. Now, what's interesting about 2022, particularly for blockchain gaming is a $150 billion industry, $160 billion industry today. But with non-fungible tokens and true digital ownership rights, we think this will turn into a $1 trillion industry very, very quickly. And the year 2022 is interesting because many of the big games that sort of offer these AAA experiences and allow for the onboarding for people who traditionally would be looking for the kind of games that they would normally want to play in sort of traditional gaming are now available as blockchain games. This is where 2022 becomes really, really interesting. And so we're not talking about an onboard adoption of, oh, look, another 1, 2, 3, 4 million players, which is like a lot, but it's going to be like in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 million players, meaning that the year 2022, we could possibly be seeing 100 million people or more basically playing blockchain games. And so 2022 could be a very, very exciting time.